Okay, getting everything set up and working on testing out the audio first before I get started. So I go in and test YouTube first because I have to make sure that the stream is going to the proper playlist. Always have to do that. Okay, sounds good on YouTube. Sounds good on Rumble. Sounds good on Kick and D Live. Let me check D Live out real quick. D Live sounds good. Switch over to Twitch. Make sure it's up and running. Sounding good. Sounds good. Okay, so we are ready to go. Now, today I am going to be doing an episode of The Cut. And, well, let me just go ahead and do my introduction and get on with it instead of that. I have kind of a cold, so if you hear me coughing or anything like that, I apologize. I've been trying to get over this for almost a week now, so just want everybody to know ahead of time. So here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Cut. Today, I am going to be doing 3 stories that I've actually been trying to put together for quite a few years now, and I finally figured I would give it another shot and do it. Before I did, well, these stories, when I did it the last time, I didn't have very good equipment that would allow me to do the stories and or not the stories, but the topics. But now, since I been able to do my live streams and actually have a good computer that I can do it on, I'm able to get these out. I'm pretty happy that I'm able to do that too because I've been wanting to get a lot of this content caught up, and I'm actually getting it done now. So I think that's a good thing. So with that being said, I am going to get started um, and be done with it. I'm having some issues right now when it comes to my, my health. I'm sick. I've been working off my sickness for about almost a week now. So if you hear anything going on with my voice or anything, or I'm coughing or it sounds strange, just because of that, and I apologize ahead of time. Um, Now, before I get started, too, I should say we are streaming on Rumble, Kick, Twitch, D Live, and on YouTube. So if you guys want to check us out on any of those platforms, we are available on there. And with that, I will go ahead and get started. The early 18th century in Europe was a period marked by profound political complexities and personal tragedies within royal families, shaping the destiny of great powers such as France and the Holy Roman Empire. Among the most notable monarchs of this era were King Louis XV of France and Charles VI, Holy Roman Emperor. Both rulers inherited thrones shadowed by loss and uncertainty, as smallpox claimed the lives of close family members. threatening the continuity of their dynasties. Their experiences highlight the inseparable connection between health crisis and dynastic politics in early modern Europe. Louis XV's ascension to the French throne was nothing short of miraculous, given the dire circumstances of his early childhood. Born as the great-grandson of King Louis XIV, whose reign was among the longest and most powerful in European history, young Louis was poised to inherit a vast and influential kingdom. Yet tragedy struck his family with overwhelming force. In the winter of the early 18th century, a devastating outbreak of smallpox swept through the French court. His parents, Louis, Louis, Duke of Burgundy, and Marie Adelaide of Savoy, both contracted the disease and died within days of each other. To compound this grief, Louis's elder brother had succumbed to the same illness the year before. These deaths left the young Louis as the last surviving male heir of the Bourbon line. This abrupt shift in fortune left the French monarchy in a precarious state. The royal family, the court, and the wider realm understood that the future of the dynasty rested entirely on this vulnerable child. As the new heir, Louis was subjected to intense scrutiny and care, but also to pressures typical of a monarchy desperately seeking stability. One significant figure in guiding the young king was his uncle, the Duke of Orleans, who was an influential role in the royal court's efforts to secure the succession. It was common practice in royal households for heirs to be encouraged, even pressured, to produce offspring as soon as they were physically capable. Since the survival of a dynasty depended on clear and numerous heirs. In Louis's case, his uncle actively pushed him towards sexual activity at a young age, emphasizing the urgency of producing an heir to ensure the Bourbon dynasty's continuation. This pressure was not merely personal, but deeply political. The monarchy's legitimacy and the kingdom's stability were at stake. Louis XV's early sexual experiences, influenced by this dynastic imperative, laid the foundation for his later reputation as a monarch with numerous romantic liaisons and mistresses. While initially driven by political necessity, his relationships eventually became a hallmark of his reign. Despite the controversies and court gossip, these efforts did result in legitimate heirs who would carry forward the Bourbon legacy. Across the European continent, Charles VI faced a parallel but distinct set of challenges. A scion of the illustrious Habsburg dynasty, Charles's path to the throne was shaped by the untimely death of his elder brother, Joseph I. Joseph had ascended as Holy Roman Empire, but died prematurely due to smallpox, which also took his male heirs at a young age. This left the imperial crown of Habsburg hereditary lands without a direct male successor, propelling Charles into power. Unlike Louis XV, Charles's youth was marked with relative familial stability. His parents, Leopold I and Eleanor Magdalene of Neuburg, both lived well into his adulthood, providing a supportive environment. Nevertheless, Charles's reign became dominant by anxieties over producing a male heir. For many years, his wife, Elizabeth Christine, bore children, but none were surviving sons. This pressure to secure the succession was immense, with the vast and multi-ethnic Habsburg territories hanging in the balance. The birth of his daughter, Maria Theresa, was both a cause for celebration and concern. While a welcome addition to the family, prevailing succession laws in many parts of Europe favored male heirs, leaving her claim precarious. In response, Charles promulgated the Pragmatic Sanction, a legal edict allowing his daughter to inherit his lands and titles, an unprecedented move aimed at preserving the Habsburg domains intact. This decree would later trigger diplomatic disputes and military conflicts, including the War of the Austrian Succession, but it demonstrated Charles's determination to protect his dynasty's future. The devastating efforts of smallpox on both royal families illustrates the vulnerability of even the most powerful to the ravages of diseases. Smallpox was one of the deadliest illnesses of the period, characterized by fever, painful pustules, and often death. Its outbreak could its outbreak could decimate entire courts and armies, and royal families were no exception. The losses suffered by Louis XV's family were among the most dramatic examples of its impact, altering the course of French history by catapulting a young child onto the throne. The profound fear of smallpox and its destructive potential spurred a gradual shift towards medical innovation in Europe. Variolation, an early form of inoculation, began to gain cautious acceptance as a preventative measure. This practice involved deliberately exposing a healthy individual to material from smallpox spores to induce a milder form of the disease, thereby conferring immunity. While risky, it was often preferable to facing natural infection. The deaths in the royal family played a significant role in increasing interest in variolation, although widespread acceptance would come only gradually and would be superseded by vaccination in the late 18th century. In the Austrian court, Charles VI's reign was also an increased awareness of health and succession issues, although medical advancements were slower to take hold. The fragile nature of dynastic continuity in such a vast empire underscored the importance of securing heirs, whether through medical means or legal reforms. The personal lives of both monarchs were deeply intertwined with their political duties. Louis XV's early sexual initiation, driven by dynastic urgency, set the tone for a reign marked by political challenges and scandalous romances. His efforts to produce legitimate heirs reflected the intense pressure placed upon him from childhood. Meanwhile, Charles VI, Charles the Sixth, in his legal strategies to safeguard his daughter's succession, reflected a pragmatic response to the demographic realities imposed by disease and mortality. The intertwined narrative of Louis XV and Charles VI provide valuable insight into the ways health crises shaped European history. Their experiences reveal how the pressure of succession influenced personal behavior, court politics, and international relations. The legacy of smallpox and their families served as a catalyst for medical progress, transforming approaches to disease prevention and influencing the future of public health. The stories of these monarchs underscore the fragility of dynasty rule in the era before modern medicine. The premature deaths of heirs and consorts created uncertainty that could destabilize entire realms. In this context, the effort to secure living heirs, whether through early sexual guidance, legal decrees, or medical interventions, were not mere family matters, but critical state concerns. The lives of Louis XV and Charles VI were shaped profoundly by the shadow of smallpox and the urgent need to preserve their dynasties. Their struggles reflect broader themes of vulnerability, duty, and resilience within European monarchy during a pivotal period. The political and personal challenges they face continue to offer a compelling window into the complexity of power, health, and succession in early 18th century Europe. The 17th century in Central and Eastern Europe was a time of shifting alliances, competing empires, and ideological warfare between rival faiths and dynasties. Among the many figures who attempted to navigate this volatile landscape was Georgy II Rákóczi, a prince of Transylvania, born into a dynasty that had become synonymous with religious resistance and political maneuvering. Georgy II inherited not only his father's throne, but also his ambitions. Yet his reign would become to be defined less by consolidation and securing than by overreach, political political miscalculation, and ultimately downfall. His ill-fated campaign into the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth would become a cautionary tale of a regional leader who misunderstood the balance of power and placed his principality on a collision course with disaster. Transylvania in the early modern era was a principality tucked into the Carpathian Mountains, surrounded by more powerful entities, including the Ottoman Empire, the Habsburg monarchy, and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Though formerly a vassal of the Ottoman Sultan, Transylvania had for generations acted as with a high degree of independence, particularly under the leadership of the Rákóczi family. The Rákóczis, known for their Calvinistic faith, were champions of Protestant liberties in an era dominated by Catholic expansion and Ottoman suzerainty. Principality served as a haven for religious refugees and became a bulwark of protests influence became a bulwark of Protestant influence in a region caught between conflicting worlds. Georgy II was the son of Georgy I Rákóczi, a ruler who had managed to maintain Transylvania's relative stability through skillful diplomacy and a cautious approach to warfare. When Georgy I died, his son inherited the principality title along with a kingdom that was strong but vulnerable. The young prince, confident and determined, set his sights on expanding Transylvania's role in regional politics. His ultimate ambition was to secure a crown beyond his inherited domain, and the unstable conditions in Poland seemed to offer a perfect opportunity. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in the mid-17th century was reeling from a series of catastrophes. It had suffered repeated military defeats, internal rebellions, and foreign invasions. The Khmelnytsky uprising had shaken the Commonwealth's eastern territories, while Swedish armies under their ambitious king had invaded and taken control of much of Poland during the period known as the Deluge. Among this chaos, Georgy II saw the possibility of expanding his influence northward and perhaps even claiming the Polish crown itself. He believed that the Swedish king's invasion had created a power vacuum that he could fill with Transylvanian troops and the support of disaffected Polish nobles. Driven by these ambitions, Georgy II entered into an alliance with the Swedish king and also attempted to coordinate with the Cossacks of Ukraine. He assembled a sizable army composed of Transylvanian soldiers, hired mercenaries and Cossack allies. With confidence and a sense of destiny, he marched northward into Poland or Polish territories without seeking prior approval from the Ottoman court. This decision would prove disastrous. The initial phase of the campaign brought some success. His troops captured towns and gained ground, meeting little resistance at first. However, these early victories quickly turned into a series of missteps. Coordination with the Swedish forces proved difficult, and mistrust between the Allies began to grow. Polish forces began regrouping, and local resistance hardened. Most damaging of all was the reaction from the Ottoman Empire. Though nominally a vassal of the Ottomans, Georgy II had acted independently, violating the terms of Transylvania's protected status. The Ottoman court viewed his invasion of Poland as a breach of loyalty and a direct challenge to its authority in the region. As the Polish-Lithuanian forces began to recover and received reinforcements from their allies, including the Russian Sardam and Crimean Tatars, Georgy's armies found itself overwhelmed. His forces suffered a string of defeats, and the dream of seizing the Polish crown vanished. The campaign degenerated into a long, humiliating retreat. Many of his soldiers were killed or captured, and the surviving forces returned home demoralized and discredited. This defeat had grave consequences for Transylvania. The Ottomans, angered by Georgy's betrayal, no longer trusted him as their vassal. They moved quickly to punish his insubordination by supporting a rival claimant to the Transylvanian throne. A period of civil conflict ensued as internal factions within the principality split between loyalty to Rákóczi line and those who sought Ottoman favor by endorsing a replacement. Georgy II attempted to reassert his position through negotiation of military force, but his prestige had been shattered. The once confident prince now faced a principality in disarray and an external overlord ready to remove him. Though Georgy managed to regain temporary control of his court, his authority was never fully restored. The principality's independence had been irreparably damaged. The Ottomans began to intervene more directly in Transylvanian affairs, weakening its autonomy and setting the stage for further occupation and eventual domination by the Habsburgs. Georgy died a few years after the failed campaign, worn down by the consequences of his choices and the burdens of leadership during a time of collapse. The life and reign of Georgy II Rákóczi offer a compelling study of ambition meeting reality in the complex geopolitical terrain of early modern Eastern Europe. His desire to raise Transylvania to a higher level of influence, even to the point of ruling over Poland, was not entirely without precedent. Other Transylvanian princes had aspired to similar heights. However, Georgy underestimated his own strength and underestimated the loyalty of his allies. The resilience of the Polish-Lithuanian state and the power of the Ottomans to discipline their vassals. His failure reveals the limitations faced by smaller principalities caught between empires, especially when those principalities act without clear diplomatic grounding. Religious identity also played a crucial role in Georgi's ambitions. As a Protestant ruler surrounded by Catholic and Muslim empires, he saw his reign as a continuation of the Protestant cause. The Polish crown, long associated with Catholicism, seemed to many Protestant leaders like a target ripe for reformation, especially given the internal instability of the Commonwealth at the time. His alliance with Sweden, another Protestant state, and with the Cossacks, who were Orthodox Christians opposed to Polish domination, reflected a broader vision on a new regional order shaped by religious alliances. Yet this vision was ultimately unrealistic, as the conflicting interests of these groups prevented genuine cooperation, and the resulting alliances quickly fell apart under the pressure of war. Georgie's campaign also revealed the changing nature of warfare in the 17th century. Mercenary armies, unreliable allies, and logistical challenges plagued even the best planned campaigns. Without a disciplined and well-supplied military force, even the most ambitious plans could not be sustained. The scorched earth tactics used by opposing armies, the lack of local support in occupied territories, and the absence of centralized coordination doomed the campaign from the start. The retreat became a rout, and the ensuing humiliation shaped Transylvanian politics for years to come. The personal legacy of Georgie II is therefore a mixed one. He was not without courage or vision. His dream of alleviating Transylvania were in line with the broader aspirations of his family and of many regional leaders who saw independence and greatness despite the pressure of empire. Yet his failure to respect the limits of his position, his misreadings of diplomatic obligation, and his poor military judgment left Transylvania weaker and more dependent on outside powers. After his death, Transylvania continued to decline, increasingly influenced by Ottoman administrators and eventually absorbed into the growing sphere of the Habsburg monarchy. The principality's role as a refuge for Protestantism faded, and its autonomy was slowly eroded. The Rákóczi family would later rise again under Ferenc Rákóczi during the early 18th century in an anti-Habsburg rebellion. But the golden age of Transylvania, or Transylvanian independence, was largely over. Much of the blame for that decline can be traced back to George II's decision and the disastrous consequences of his Polish campaign. In the grand tapestry of European history, Georgy II Rákóczi remained a poignant example of a leader whose bold vision was not matched by strategic wisdom. His life and reign stand as a lesson in the dangers of overestimating one's power and acting without regard for the complex obligations that come with leadership. His story is one of noble ambition undone by the very forces he sought to master, and it reminds us that even the most passionate leaders must temper their dreams with prudence, especially in times of great uncertainty and change. The Order of the Golden Fleece was founded in the 15th century and became one of the most powerful and prestigious chivalry orders in European history. Its influence extended from the feudal courts of Burgundy to the sprawling realms of the Habsburg dynasty, where it served as a ceremonial and political tool across centuries of shifting power. The order was originally established by Philip the Good, Duke of Burgundy, in the early part of the century, in what began as a dynasty or a dynastic effort to enhance his prestige and evolved into a significant institution that reflected the ideas of nobility. The Christian unity and dynastic loyalty through. Wait, hold up. No, I've got to start that up again. The order was originally established by Philip the Good, Duke of Burgundy, in the early part of the century. What began as a dynastic effort to enhance his prestige, it evolved into a significant institution that reflected the ideas of nobility, Christian unity, and dynastic loyalty. The history of this order is woven into the fabric of European aristocracy, war, diplomacy, and spiritual culture. Philip the Good ruled over an expansive territory that stretched across much of what is now modern-day France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. Though not a king in title, Philip exercised kingly authority over his domains and was eager to legitimize his power in ways that resonated with the medieval ideas of Christian knighthood and courtly refinement. To this end, he created the Order of the Golden Fleece as both a symbol of virtue and a mechanism for ensuring loyalty among the great nobles of his lands. The establishment of the order coincided with his marriage to Isabella of Portugal, and though it was framed as a celebration of matrimony, its deeper political utility was clear from the outset. The name Golden Fleece evoked mythological and religious significance. In classical myth, the Golden Fleece was the object of the heroic quest undertaken by Jason and the Argonauts. It represented wealth, divine favor, and triumph over adversity. In a Christian context, it was interpreted symbolically as a reflection of sacrifice and purity. By invoking this name, Philip linked his order to timeless values and framed his court as a court of divine purpose and noble aspiration. From its foundation, the order was governed by strict statutes. Only noblemen or illustrious only noblemen of illustrious birth and proven merit could be admitted, and members were expected to maintain a high standard of conduct, both in their public duties and private affairs. The number of knights was initially limited to 24, a deliberate choice that made admission exceptionally rare and prestigious. Members were required to swear solemn oaths to the order and to one another, committing themselves to ideas of loyalty, justice, and courage. The collar of the order became an instantly recognizable emblem among the elite. It consisted of a chain of fire, steel links with flints and sparks, symbols of vigilance and divine inspiration. Hanging from this chain was the pendant in the shape of a golden fleece. This collar was worn in solemn occasions and served as a visible declaration of membership and allegiance. Wearing it marked a man as someone trusted not only by the sovereign, but by the collective community of Europe's most respected nobles. After the death of Charles the Bold, the last male heir of the Burgundian dukes, the Burgundian inheritance passed through marriage into the hands of the Habsburg family. From that moment onward, the Order of the Golden Fleece became tied to the destiny of one of Europe's most powerful dynasties. The Habsburgs, who ruled over territories ranging from Austria to Spain and the Americas, adopted the order as a dynastic institution. It would come to symbolize the continuity of Habsburg authority and serve as a critical tool in their diplomatic and ceremonial practices. Under Habsburg rule, the order grew in prominence. Its statutes were preserved, but its membership expanded slightly to accommodate a larger network of influential allies and nobles. In Spain, under the reign of Charles V, the order became deeply integrated into the Spanish monarchy. Charles, having inherited both the Burgundian lands and the Spanish throne, used the order to reward loyal service, forge alliances, and reinforce the moral authority of his rule. The order's connection to the Catholic faith was emphasized during this period, especially as it became a bulwark against the rising tide of the Protestantism during the Reformation. Throughout the early modern period, membership in the Order of the Golden Fleece was one of the highest honors that could be bestowed. It was often used to secure political loyalty or celebrate military and diplomatic achievement. Knights of the Order were frequently monarchs, dukes, generals, and ecclesiastical leaders who service aligned with the interests of the Habsburg crown. The decision to induct a new knight was not taken lightly. It required unanimous approval from the existing members and usually involved considerable ceremony. Every new knight swore an oath before the Grand Master of the Order, who was always the ruling Habsburg monarch. The ceremony was followed by elaborate rituals, including the presentation of the collar and a religious mass. In addition to their personal obligations, knights of the order were also expected to assist one another and act as a brotherhood. The spirit of mutual defense and loyalty gave the order a cohesion that few other knightly institutes could match. The order's annual chapters or formal meetings were held in cathedrals and great halls across the Habsburg realms. These meetings included spiritual observances, processions, and discussions of political and social matters of importance to the realm. They also served to reinforce the idea that the knights were not merely individual actors, but part of a unified body representing the moral and political ideas of Christian monarchy. As the centuries passed, the Order of the Golden Fleece remained relevant even as the political landscape of Europe began to change. The rise of nation-states, constitutional monarchies, and republican movements posed challenges to the traditional aristocratic orders. Yet the order adapted to continue to function both as a ceremonial institution and a diplomatic tool. It provided legitimacy to newly crowned monarchs, cemented alliances between European powers, and preserved the vestiges of chivalric tradition in an increasingly modern world. Within the division of the Habsburg Empire, the order eventually split into two branches. One was maintained by the Spanish monarch, and the other by the Austrian branch of the Habsburgs. Both branches claimed legitimacy from the original founding and continued to induct members based on their respective traditions. Despite this separation, both retained the symbolism, rituals, and foundational statues of the Burgundian origin. In Spain, the order became closely associated with royal ceremonies and state functions. Kings conferred it upon foreign monarchs, nobles, and high-ranking officials who had shown extraordinary service to the Spanish state or its Catholic values. In Austria, the order remained a symbol of dynastic continuity and was used to maintain the ceremonial dignity of the Habsburg house even after the collapse of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The modern era has seen the order retain much of its historical prestige, even as its original political powers have diminished in both Spain and Austria. The order is now largely honorary, but it continues to be a highly respected symbol of cultural heritage and aristocratic distinction. The Spanish king, who serves as the Grand Master of the Spanish branch, has conferred the order upon prominent international figures, including monarchs, head of state, and cultural leaders. The Austrian branch, maintained by the descendants of the Habsburg family, similarly grants memberships as a mark of distinguished service to Christian Europe and the legacy of the empire. What sets the Order of the Golden Fleece apart from other knightly orders is its unbroken link to the dynastic identity of the Habsburgs and its original function as a political instrument of Burgundian ambition. While other orders were created by kingdoms and states, the Golden Fleece was created by a dynasty and has remained in dynastic hands ever since. This has given it a particular character that resists the erosion of time in changing political regimes. So yeah, excuse me, there you go. That is the last of my readings. Now, before I end this, I do want to mention these are stories that I've been wanting to put somewhere, and this series is called The Cut. You know what I mean? This is not only like things that have been cut from history, not like cut as in made disappear, but just things that aren't really mentioned. Like historically, you'll hear about basically the same stuff, but this is stuff that's not really brought up. It's kind of faded out. You know what I mean? And this was these were three of the topics that I thought would be good to read and to bring up. And it's like I said, I've had these for a while. I wanted to bring this back up and make a live stream of it so that I could have it as a record, because this is some of the older stuff that I've done back whenever I first started doing video editing and things of that nature. So I decided that that's what I was going to do. I was going to kind of get into this and put it into the episodes for The Cut. Now, after this episode is done, I will be downloading it when it becomes available, because you have to wait now on YouTube 24 hours before you can download. And then after I do that, I'm going to transfer it from the Wonderful World of Weirdness on YouTube to my other channel, the channel that I actually first started out with, which is Strange Stories. And then I'm going to edit it into 15-minute videos and schedule those out so that they will be on here again and you can check them out. Now on you can find all of this on YouTube as well as Rumble. On Rumble, I don't have a channel called Strange Stories, so I don't have to transfer it from the Wonderful World of Weirdness to Strange Stories. I just have it there on the channel. Now, what I am going to do, though, is take this after I've transferred it over to the Strange Stories, and I'm going to put it on my 8-hour video blocks that I have of all this content that I've done when it comes to live streaming, and I'm going to upload that onto my main channel, which is Roger Hanson, and that's after I edit it into 15-minute segments. So not only are you going to see it on the Wonderful World of Weirdness and Strange Stories, but you can check it out on my 8-hour blocks on my main channel, Roger Hanson, on YouTube. And after that, I will be putting it on Rumble again at a later time, most likely in April of next year, I believe, is when it'll be coming out again in the full context. I don't know exactly when the 15-minute videos will be coming out, but just to let everybody also know, we do have 15-minute videos of the cut, which are scheduled to come out. So if these videos are too long for you and they kind of drive you nuts, I apologize about it. If you want to, you can watch them at 15-minute videos, broken down and edited to 15 minutes is what I should say. And also, like I just said too, you can also watch 8-hour blocks of not just this, but also the other streams that I've put together. It's like an 8-hour block of video that you can go check out. You can check that out on Roger Hanson on both YouTube. I have 2 Roger Hanson channels, is what I'm basically saying. So I have my Roger Hanson that I'm no, it's a little bit too much complicated to say, so I figured I'd put that out there. And I apologize if I've been talking a lot. I'm kind of getting over my cold, so that I do apologize if the reading was bad too, especially. So, like I said at the beginning of the episode, you can check us out on Rumble, Kick, Twitch, YouTube, and DLive. Now on Rumble, you can find me at the Wonderful World of Weirdness. On Kick, you can find me at Roger_Hanson, and I am also Roger_Hanson on DLive as well. On YouTube, I am at the Wonderful World of Weirdness at the Wonderful World of Weirdness. You can find me on there, as well as Strange Stories. I believe I have that on my timeline on YouTube. If you guys are having a hard time finding it, you can find it there. I'm also on Element. You can find me on Element at Live with Roger Hanson. Besides that, I am on Teams. You can find me on Teams at Roger Hanson, basically. And Live with Roger Hanson, as well as Roger's Real Time Talk Show is on there too. I'm on Discord. We do have a Wonderful World of Weirdness Discord channel. If you guys want to check us out on there, check us out on Discord, the Wonderful World of Weirdness. On Twitch, you can find me at Infamous 1969. So yeah, I think I've covered everything. If you guys did like this video, all I ask is that you please like, subscribe, share, make comments, give some feedback. Tell me how your day was. Say hello. You don't have to have any specific kind of information. You can just be stopping in to say hello. You know what I mean? So, like, subscribe, share, make comments. Comments are very, very important to me, at least. And you really don't understand how important that is to be able to get comments and uh, actually have a conversation with the people who are watching your videos. It does mean quite a bit. So just remember that, stop in, say hello, and, you know, I'll respond to each and every one of them as long as it's not a troll. You know what I mean? Just don't troll the channel. Respect one another. Don't get into no big dog fight right there in the comment section, kind of thing. So I hope you guys have a good day, and I'm going to end this and talk to you later. Thanks for stopping in, guys. Bye.